Good afternoon. I will be discussing problems 8 and 9 in chapter 6 and also the multiple choice problems and the theory. And of course, I will be discussing the problems in chapter 8 in connection with foreign currency translation. Now, by the way, you can open your canvas with the solutions posted, the PDF. You have the solutions for chapter 6 and chapter 8. So you do not need to copy anymore. Now let's start with problem 8 of chapter 6, foreign purchase transaction. On December 1, 2004, RP Imports, a Philippine company, purchased clocks from foreign company for 15,000 foreign currency to be paid on January 15, 2005. RP's fiscal year ends on December 31, and its reporting currency is the peso. The exchange rates are December 1, 31, and January 15. For one FC equal to the different rates required, in which currency is the transaction denominated, and we have to prepare the journal entries including the adjustment on December 31 and the settlement. So for requirement number 1, in what currency is the transaction denominated? Now, the transaction is denominated in foreign currency. RP imports reports in RR imports reports in Philippine pesos. On December 1, 2004, being the transaction date, the exchange, one foreign currency is equal to 70 centavos. Now, that's the direct exchange rate. On December 31, X4, the balance sheet date, the rate is 1 FC2 66 centavos. And on January 15, X5, which is the settlement date, the 1 FC is equal to 68 cents. Now, these are the direct exchange rates which are given the problem. Number 2, prepare journal entries to record the purchase, the adjustment on December 31, and the settlement. So on December 1, being the transaction date, the entry is to debit inventory or purchases depending upon the system involved. So if perpetual, debit to inventory. If periodic, debit to purchases. And we credit to accounts payable denominated in FC. So we have 15,000 times 0.70. 10,500. At the end of the year, which is the balance sheet date, we are going to prepare the adjusting entry. So now we debit to accounts payable, foreign FC, and credit to foreign currency transaction gain. Now there is a gain because the foreign currency now is equivalent to a lower peso value. So 15,000 times 0.66. That's the peso value at year end. So 9,900. Whereas the amount recorded during the transaction date is for the amount of 10,500. So in other words, there is a decrease in the accounts payable amounting to 600, which is the result of multiplying the difference of 4 centavos multiplied by 15,000. So we now get 600. Next, we have January 15, 20x5. That's already our settlement date. So on this date, we debit to foreign currency transaction loss and finally credit to accounts payable. So the amount revalued to current peso equivalent 15,000 times 0.68 during settlement date. And we have as of December 31 only 0.66. So again, we have a decline in the value of the peso equal to a 0.02. So multiplied by 15,000, that gives 300. So we now debit the loss account and credit to accounts payable. Now take note, accounts payable on December 1, 2024 is debited for or credited for 10,500. On December 31, debited for 600. So the balance is 9,900. And on January 15, credited for 300. So the total credit is 10,200. We now debit to accounts payable and credit foreign currency units. That's now for the amount of 200. So 10,200, which is taken by multiplying 15,000 times 0.68. Okay, so if you have to analyze the accounts payable account, now we have this breakdown. So you will find that during settlement date, the amount payable is 10,200. Now we go to problem 10. Next for problem 9, adjusting entries for foreign currency balances. CDL imports and exports chocolate delicacies. Some transactions are denominated in Philippine pesos and others in foreign currencies. FC1 2 and a summary of accounts receivable and accounts payable on December 31, 2006 before adjustments for the effects of changes in exchange rates during 2006 follows. So we have the accounts receivable in pesos 164,000 in 475,000 FC1 for 73,600. Accounts payable in pesos 86,000 in 20,000 FC2. Now we have to understand that if we have importations, we involve accounts payable. But for exportations, we involve accounts receivable. The spot rates on December 31, 2006 were FC 1.176 for 0.176 pesos and FC 2.0081 pesos. The average exchange rates during the collection and payment period in 20 CX7R FC1 0.18 pesos and FC2 0.0078. Now required, we have six requirements, and number one is prepare the adjusting entries on December 31, 2006. So the entry on December 31, 2006 is to debit. Here we have the amount of 10,000. So we debit to accounts receivable the amount of 10,000 and credit to foreign currency transaction gain. Now, why do we have a gain? Adjust for receivable denominated in FC1 to current peso equivalent and recognize exchange gain. 83,000 600. That is the equivalent of 475,000. We have the amount of 475,000 FC, and that's equivalent to 83,600 pesos. So we now use 0.176, which is the December 31 spot rate. Okay? Now take note that we are given a summary of accounts receivable and payable on December 31, 2026 before adjustments for the effects of changes in exchange rates during 2026. So for 475,000, that's in FC, which we have to multiply by the spot rate. And the spot rate here is given at 0.176. So for this, we have to get the amount of, so multiplying 475 FC times 0.176, we get a 3,600, and we have the pre-adjusted December 31, 2026 value in the amount of 73,600. Now, 73,600 is already given. So that's the pre-adjusted on December 31, 2026. So there's a difference equal to 10,000 that should be recognized as foreign currency gain. And at the same time, that will increase accounts receivable in connection with the exportation. So the entry now is to debit accounts receivable and to credit foreign currency gain. Now we are given the accounts receivable balances here in 475 FC. FC1, or we have 73,600, but we are given 475,000. If you multiply that by the spot rate on December 31, you get a higher amount than 73,600. So we have this entry on December 31, 2026. Then likewise, for FC2, we are going to debit accounts payable, foreign currency transaction gain for 5,200. Adjust payable denominated in foreign currency to current peso equivalent. So we have now the pre-adjusted amount on December 31, 2026 in the amount of 175,300. It's given, but it's pre-adjusted. Then we have to compare it and deduct with FC2, which is taken by here. We multiply 21,000 times, okay, we now get FC2 21,000 times 0.0081. 0.0081 is the spot rate on December 31 for FC2. So we now get the result equal to 170,100, and we compare it with 175,300. So we have now the December 31 spot rate. Okay? So we have the difference of 5,200 200. That's for FC2. So we now get the difference of 5,200 that we debit to accounts receivable, accounts payable, and credit to foreign currency transaction gain. So we have a gain. That's why we have to debit back accounts payable. So the amount to be paid for accounts payable will be lower. The amount to be paid in accounts or for accounts payable will be lower. So we are now using the rate of 0.081, multiplying it by 21 million for FC2. Okay, so we have now the accounts payable for FC2 equal to 21 million. Okay, so given now is still for requirement number 1. For requirement number 2, we have the requirement is to record the collection of accounts receivable in 20x7. So the collection will be to debit. Here in number 2, we have to debit first accounts receivable for 1,900 and credit foreign currency transaction gain. 1,900 adjust receivable denominated in foreign currency to equivalent peso value. So we have now on settlement date the amount of 85,500, which is taken by multiplying in FC1 475,000. That's given in FC1, and then we multiply it by 0.18. So 0.18, that's the collection rate, no? So the average collection rate in 20x7. So we now get the amount of 85,500. And then we deduct 83,600, which is taken as the spot rate on December 31, 20x6. So we have now the amount of 83,600. That was our original amount of the receivable, 83,600. So what will be the amount to be recorded now since we have a gain? First, we have to recognize the foreign currency transaction gain, which is the difference between 0.18 and 0.176. There's a difference equal to 0.004. And you multiply that by 475. So that gives the amount of 1,900. So you get 475 times 0.004 is equal to 1,900. The additional debit to accounts receivable. Now, for we debit to cash, 164,000. Then we debit to foreign currency units for 85,500. Credit to accounts receivable, FC, for 85,500. And credit accounts receivable, P, for the amount of 164,000. So we have debit to cash for 164,000 and then debit foreign currency units 85,500 and credit accounts receivable and accounts receivable P. Take note, We have FC and FC1. And FC1 is the equivalent of 85,500. Now, in requirement number 2, record the collection of the accounts receivable in 20x7. Then in number 3, we have to record the payment of accounts payable in 20x7. So we now debit to accounts payable. That's in connection with FC2. Debit to accounts payable, and we first credit to foreign currency gain in the amount of 6,300. If our FC2 of 21 million times 0.0078. Okay, for FC2, for 20x7, that's 163,800, and then we deduct 170,100 FC2 taken by multiplying 21 million by 0.008. So we now get the result equal to 0.0081. That's the December 31, 20x6 spot rate, and we have the foreign currency transaction gain of 6,300. So finally, we debit accounts payable P 86,000 with debit to accounts payable FC2 163,800, credit foreign currency units 163,800, and credit to cash 486,000. That's the equivalent of your accounts payable. So payment of accounts payable. Then in number 4, what will be the foreign currency gain or loss on the accounts receivable transaction denominated in FC1 for the year ended December 31, 20x6, for the year ended 20x7, overall for this transaction. So the transaction gain on FC December 31, 20x6, we have recorded that in the first entry, 10,000 gain. 20x7, we have another 1,900. So for 11,900 in on FC. Then we have on FC2, 5,200 and 6,300 as recorded previously. So the overall is 11,500. Okay, then what was combined foreign currency gain or loss on both transactions? What could be CDL have done to reduce the risk associated with the transactions denominated in foreign currencies? So we have now the overall currency transaction gain 11,900 and 11,500. So we have 23,400. CDL could have hedged its exposed position. The exposed position are only those denominated in foreign currency units. The accounts receivable denominated in FC1 could be hedged by selling FC1 in the forward market, thereby locking in the value of the FC1. The accounts payable denominated in FC2 could be hedged by buying FC2 in the forward market, thereby locking in the value of FC2. Now we have, I have added here problem number 10. We have the solution for problem 10. Now take note, you try to review on this solution. Okay, we now go to the multiple choice problems. I only gave you numbers 1 to 40. Okay, 40. So number 1 here. If Canadian dollar can be exchanged for 90 cents of Philippine peso, what fraction should be used to compute the indirect quotation of the exchange rate expressed in Canadian dollars? So in letter number 1, the answer is dividing Canadian dollar of 1 divided by 0.90. So that's letter C in number 1. 1 divided by 0.90. So you have there letter C. Number 2, question. On April 20, 20X5, DD paid the liability with 30,000 FCUs at a rate of 0.4945 in pesos. DD's income statements should report a foreign exchange gain or the years ended March 31, 20X4 and 20X5 of. So we now have 20x4 and 20x5, 4.4895. You multiply that by 30,000 for 20x4. And we have 0.4845. That's the spot rate for FCU was 4895 on March 1. And the spot rate at year end was 0.4845. So there's again equal to 150 pesos. For 20x5, it's 0.4845 and 0.4945. So we have a difference of 300. That's a loss. So for number 2, our letter answer is D. In number 3, the requirement of the problem is Autos income statement should report a foreign exchange gain or loss for the years ended December 31, 20x4 and 20x5 of. So number 3, 20x4, the date of transaction, December 1, 20x4. That's the date of transaction. When we have the rate of 0.0095. Then the balance sheet date, December 31 X4, when we have the rate of 0.0096. So the foreign exchange currency loss per foreign currency is 0.001. And we multiply that by the number of FCs equal to 1 million. So you get the result of, okay, foreign exchange currency loss is 100. In 20x5, the balance sheet date December 31, 20x4, when we have the rate of 0.0096 and the date of settlement is January 10, 20x5, when the rate is 0.0094. There's a difference of 0.0002 times 1,000. So the foreign exchange currency gain is 200. So that's why number 3 is B as in boy. Number 4, in its income statement for 20x5, what amount should Denver include as a foreign exchange gain or loss on the note principal? So in number 4, we have now the balance sheet date with 125,000, which is the year end. Date of settlement is July 1, 20x5 of 140,000. So the foreign exchange currency loss is 15,000. Next, number 5. Number 5 here is on January 15, 20x5, the receivable was collected in full when the exchange rate was 3 LCU to 1 peso. The journal entry should make to record the collection of the receivable is. So we now have, in the case of number 5, the foreign currency units now in LCU, 300,000 debit. We have exchange loss equal to 15,000 debit, and we credit to accounts receivable for the LCU equal to 315,000. Now, how did we get the loss equal to 15,000? Collect foreign currency receivable and recognize foreign currency transaction loss for changes in the exchange rates. The LCU 900,000 divided by LCU 3 on January 15, that's the value. So we get 300,000. So that's the January 15 rate. So the amount now is equal to 300,000. Then the December 31 peso equivalent is equal to 315,000. So it's given. Now the difference we credit to accounts receivable. So if you have to prepare the entry, debit to foreign currency units for 300,000, and then debit exchange loss 15,000, and credit accounts receivable for 315,000. That's in number 5. The correct answer is letter B as in boy. That's the correct journal entry. Next, number 6. Which of the following would be included in the journal entry to record the purchase? So in number 6, the spot rate on the date of transaction. Okay, so we have now the spot rate on the date of the transaction. The inventory debit is equal to 9,200. The inventory cost 10,000 FCUs, and we have the exchange rate equal to 0.92. So the answer is letter C, inventory debit of 9,200. So that's letter C for number 6. Number 7, the journal entry to record the purchase will be to debit inventory debit for, in number 7, we have the spot rate. So the spot rate will involve an inventory debit that's equal to 34,100. So 34,100 is taken by multiplying 310,000 by 0.11. So you get 34,100. That's letter A. Inventory debit 34,100 taken by multiplying 310,000 by 0.11. That's your spot rate, no? In number 7, that's the spot rate on the date of transaction. Next, we go to number 8. In number 8, the question is, what amount should be included as a foreign currency transaction gain or loss on the note principal? So we have now for problem 8, we have July 1, 20x4, the peso equivalent equal to 120,000 on July 1, 20x4. Then on December 31, 20x4, the peso equivalent value is equal to 840,000 LCU divided by 140,000. That gives LCU 6. Okay, LCU 6. And 140,000 minus 105,000. That's the July 1, 20x5 peso equivalent value. 105,000 is taken by dividing 840,000 by 8. So 840,000 divided by 8, that gives 105,000. So 140,000 minus 105,000. We have the difference of 35,000. That's the foreign currency transaction loss. The foreign currency transaction loss in number 8 is 35,000. So I'll repeat in number 8, we have 120,000. That's the July 1, 20x4 peso equivalent. Now, anyway, you can just double rule that. Then on December 31, 20x4, the peso equivalent value is taken by dividing 840,000. You divide that by 140,000. So you get LGU 6. Okay? LGU 6 is to 1 peso. LGU 6 to 1. So you get 140,000. On July 1, 20x5, peso equivalent value is 840,000 divided by 8. So that gives 105,000. 140,000 minus 105,000, it gives a difference of 35,000. Now, that 35,000 is the foreign currency transaction loss. So the answer to number 8 is letter D, as in dog. Number 8, letter D, as in dog. Next, number 9. The question is, for number 9, in is 20x for income statement, what amount should be included sa foreign exchange loss? So in number 9, we have the answer as letter D. It's the sum of 6,000 and 20,000 and 1,000. So letter D is given to be 27,000. So if you have now the accounts payable with the T account, you have a credit of 90,000 on January 20x4. So may credit na 90,000. Then adjusting journal entry for 6,000. The March 20x4 balance of accounts payable is 96,000. So now we involve foreign exchange loss for 6,000 and credit to accounts payable for 6,000. Now that's your entry if ever you want to trace what really is the entry, and so for you to end up with the final answer. Foreign exchange loss for 6,000 into credit accounts payable. So credit accounts payable for 6,000. For the notes payable, July 1, 20 sa credit of 500,000. Then adjusting journal entry for 20,000, December 31, 20 amount of credit is 520,000. And we have the balance and equal to 20,000. For the interest payable, we have the amount of, okay, net of 26,000 deducted. That will give you the amount of 25,000. So we have an interest expense equal to 1,000. You now get 25. Okay, so we have now in our entry for debit or credit interest payable for 1,000. Now, the next entry will be to debit foreign exchange loss 1,000 and to credit interest payable FCU for 1,000. So number 9, the correct answer is 27,000. Number 9. Number 10, for the year ended December 31, 2024, CC should report a foreign exchange gain equal to the credit of letter C. That's 5,000. So accounts receivable October 15 is debited for 100,000. And then we have the adjusting journal entry recognizing foreign exchange gain in the amount of 5,000. So that you will find in number 10. The correct answer is letter C. Next, 11. Question. TT should report a gain of. So how much gain should be reported? If you have the accounts payable, on April 8, we have a credit. December 31, balance sheet date, we have a credit. And on March 1, we have a credit. We have adjusting entries to bring the balance of the accounts payable equal to the liability for accounts payable after adjustments. So for number 11, first, we have to recognize the credit on April 8 for 10,000 multiplied by 0.60. 10,000 multiplied by 0.60. Now we are given the rates, the spot rate of 0.60 and at the same time you have 0.55. So 0.60 times 10,000. On April 8, you credit accounts payable 6,000. Then on December 31 for adjustment, again you credit 10,000 times 0.55 at December 31. Actually, there is no rate given, but you can consider this as the rate for 10,000 times, anyway, 0.55 on was 0.55 on December 31. So we have a credit for 5,500. And on March 1, we have another for 10,000. And then you multiply that by the rate, that's 0.45. 0.45. So the question is, TT should report gain of. So the amount of gain to be reported is equal to 16,000. However, we have adjustments of 500, 1,000, and 4,000. So we now get the total of the credits, the ones that I'm having here. Credit total is 16,000 credit, and the debit side we have total of 6,000. So you try adding adjusting journal entry, debit 500, debit 1,000, settlement is 4,500. And we have to multiply by 5. Adjusting journal entries to debit accounts payable and credit to foreign exchange gain only by the amount of 1,000. Okay, so by the amount of 1,000. Here we have the requirement of the problem in number 11. TT should report a gain of 1,000. So the gain to be reported is the amount of the FCU for the gain that's now credited for 1,000. Okay, so in adjusting journal entry number 5, we debit back to accounts payable and to credit gain. So that will involve a decrease in accounts payable because it's a gain. So there's really a deduction. Okay, in number 12, the question in number 12 is, what amount should CB report as a foreign exchange gain? So number 12, the amount is computed by multiplying 300,000 by 0.03. The difference between 1.65 and 1.62 is 0.03. So you multiply by 300,000, that will give 9,000. The foreign currency transaction gain is computed using spot rates on the transaction date November 30 and the balance sheet date December 31. The forward exchange rates are not used because the transaction was not hedged. Now, hedging is part of chapter 7. Number 12, the answer to number 12 is B as in boy. Now, number 13, what's the requirement in number 13? We have payment in FCU is due on September 7, 2024. The exchange rates to purchase one FCU are as follows. So we are given on August 31, depending upon the rate, spot rate, 30-day rate, and 60-day rate. So we have the August 31 year end and the September 7. So the exchange rates to purchase one FCU are okay. So in number 13, the date of transaction is July 7. So we have 2.08. The balance sheet date, the rate is 2.05. So there's a difference of 0.03. So 0.03, then we have 350,000. We have to multiplied by the number of FCUs that is given for 350,000. So we now get the result of 10,500, which is a gain. We have a gain because the rate here at the date of transaction is 2.08, and as of the balance sheet date, it's only 2.05. And take note that our company, Madison Paving, is the buyer. It's the buyer. So it's actually a gain to the extent that the exchange rate reduced from the rate of July 7, okay, July 7, that's 2.08, to the rate on August 3, that's only August 31, is only 2.05. So we have a gain of 10,500. Next, we have number 14. The question is, what's the final recorded value if the two transaction method is used? So in number 14, we have the value of the asset acquired should be the spot rate on the date of transaction. Therefore, the final recorded value of the electric generator should be 40,000, taken by multiplying 0.8 by 50,000 FCs. So 0.8 multiplied by 50,000 FCs. We are asked to determine the recorded value if the two transaction approach is used. So we multiply 50,000 times 0.8. That gives us the amount of 40,000. So number 14, the answer is boy. 15, by the settlement date, what's the total exchange gain or loss recorded for the transaction if the two transaction method is used? So in number 15, the date of transaction, the rate is 0.75. Then date of settlement, the rate is 0.80. So there's a difference of 0.05. And we multiply that by the number of FCUs of 200,000. So we have the foreign exchange gain of 10,000. That's letter A. Next, we go to number 16. What does the problem ask in number 16? What gain or loss would the Philippines record on December 31, 1948? So, what's the amount to be recorded? Is it a gain or a loss? For number 16, we have the date of transaction, December 5, when we have the rate of 0.6. Then the balance sheet date, the rate is 0.65. And the date of settlement is January 15. So we have now the difference between the rates during the date of transaction and the balance sheet date. There's a difference of 0.05. And then we multiply by the number of FCUs of 80,000. We get the foreign exchange currency gain equal to 4,000. That's letter D as in dog. Next, number 17. The question is, in the December 31, 2024 income statement, what amount should Hughes report as foreign exchange gain from this transaction? So we now get letter B for number 17. date of transaction 1.65, balance sheet date 1.62. So you have your foreign currency or the gain per FCU equals 1.63, whereas the number of FCUs is here. So we have 1.65 minus 1.62, or the foreign exchange gain of 0.03, and you multiply this by we have 300,000. So the answer to number 17 is B as in boy. Next, 18. In number 18, we are asked in the year in which the sale was made, that was in 20x5, what amount should WAL report as foreign exchange gain or loss from this transaction? So number 18, we have the amount of 20,000, comparing the rates during the date of transaction and the balance sheet date. So we have the difference of 0.04, and you multiply by 500,000, the number of FCUs. So we get the currency gain that's equal to 4,000. Next, number 19. She held during her visit and converted to pesos at the departure date. So what's the answer now to number 19? 19, this date of the arrival, 1,000 divided by 480, so 0.00208. Date of departure, 100 divided by 50, so 50,000. You have point 5, no? So we have 0.01, compared with 1.45. The number of CUs is 500,000. You multiply by 0.04. The gain is 20,000. So number 18 is boy. Number 19 is a loss. A loss equal to 4,000. 19. So we have here the question in number 19. What's the amount? What amount of gain or loss did Karen experience on the 50,000 FCs she held during her visit and converted to pesos at the departure date? So we have now date of arrival 1,000 divided by 480,000, and that gives an indirect rate of 0.00208. Date of departure 100 divided by 50,000, or 0.0020. So we have the foreign exchange currency loss, FCU, equal to 0.00008 multiplied by 50,000, then you get the foreign exchange currency loss in number 19. The loss is an amount of 4. Okay? Then in number 20, the answer is B, as in boy, the amount of 500 gain. It's a gain because as of the date of transaction, the rate is higher than as of the balance sheet date. And number 20 involves various transactions during the year. So number 20, the answer is B as in boy. Now you have the rest of the answers from number 21 up to the last number I gave you. That was number 40. So you try to study the solutions, and as well as here 41, the answers to the rest of the questions, and as well as the theories, okay, including the true or false and the multiple choice questions. Okay, so that's all for chapter 6. I'll pause for a while and then move on to the solutions in chapter 8. Now, may I advise you to please study the rest of the numbers that I have not explained. Okay? So,